Do you have a Sony A6700 and want to achieve cinematic footage like this? Well, here's the settings and gear I use to achieve these results. So starting off, I film almost exclusively in XABC HS 4K in 24 frames per second, and I film in 422 10-bit. I set my shutter speed to 1/50, and my aperture usually anywhere between f2.8 and f5.6, depending on where I'm filming, because I'm typically filming outdoors, and because if I stop down to like f4, f5.6, then I can get away with using a lower strength variable ND. And then I set my ISO to whatever it needs to be from there. If I'm filming in S-Cinetone, then I usually try to set the ISO around 125 and then adjust my variable ND to get the correct exposure. If I'm filming in S-Log3, then I will try to set my ISO around 800, but depending on what strength of variable ND I have with me that day, I don't mind setting it a little bit lower to get the exposure right if my shot is still overexposed. And on that note, I'm not too worried about noise in my footage if I set my ISO differently than the base ISO in either S-Cinetone or S-Log3. Firstly, because it's not that serious if you have a little noise in your footage. And secondly, because life is too short to worry about getting the absolute perfect shot. Most of what I film either ends up here on YouTube or on Instagram to show to my friends and family. And when you upload to social media platforms, your footage is getting absolutely crushed by compression anyway, so who cares? Next up is gear. So obviously we're shooting everything on the Sony A6700. This is currently my only camera body. It's a great hybrid camera option. It's a great budget option. I currently have 4 lenses. First one being the Sony 15mm f1.4G, the Sony 35mm f1.8 lens. This is a full frame lens, but it is fairly compact. Pretty similar in size to the 15mm 1.4G. The Sony 20-70 f4G lens, and then the little baby kit lens that I almost never use. I previously owned the Sigma 18-50 f2.8 zoom lens, which some of the clips I mentioned earlier were filmed on that one, but I want to preface that any lens can be a good lens depending on what you want to shoot and how you want it to look. These clips right here were filmed with the Sony 15mm G in S-Log3. These clips here were filmed with the Sigma 18-50 in S-Cinetone, and these clips were filmed with the Sony 35mm 1.8 in S-Log3. I haven't had a chance to test out the 20-70 f4 yet, as I just recently picked it up, but I'm hoping it'll end up becoming my primary travel lens since it covers a crazy wide focal range, so you have all the way from 20mm all the way to 70mm. It's relatively small and lightweight, and it's very sharp wide open at f4. For filters, I have this 10% Moment Cinebloom filter, and this one I leave on my camera pretty much all the time. And then on top of this, I will usually stack a variable ND filter whenever I'm shooting in bright conditions or if I'm outside. If I'm primarily shooting video and don't need to remove filters from my lens, I will usually toss on this K&F Concept Nano B Series 1 to 9 stop variable ND filter. The one thing I don't particularly like about this filter is that it doesn't have hard stops at the end. So you can see here I can actually over-rotate past the minimum and then over-rotate past the maximum. There's a tiny, tiny bit of cross-polarization all the way at the 9th stop when you're using a wide-angle lens. So typically I'll try and make sure it's stopped a little bit before the maximum, and that kind of cuts it out. If I'm doing more hybrid photo video or I need to take my ND filter off frequently, I'll typically use this SmallRig 1 to 5 stop magnetic ND filter. I love this variable ND filter because it does have hard stops, both at the 1st stop and the 5th stop. And since it's magnetic, I can easily take it on and off my lens when I don't want to be using it, or if I go inside and it's too dark to be using an ND filter. And that's about it. I don't think I'm forgetting anything, but if there's anything else you'd like to know about my gear or my setup, drop your question down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.